What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today for another season-by-season video. Getting a video out on a Friday today because I'm got time on my hands, to be honest with you. So, the 2016-17 NHL season, one that was filled with a much bigger free agency, one that had a lot of upsets, and one that saw the next generation really take a step of NHL players. To start it off, we have the Central Division, where the Hawks are the third time in my lifetime we're the Central Division champions, 50-23-9, 109 points. Minnesota, 49-25-8, 106 points. St. Louis, 46-29-7, 99 points. And then Nashville, 41-29-12, 94 points. Outside the playoffs, you have Winnipeg at 40-35-7 at 87 points. Dallas falls out of the playoffs after winning the division and the Western Conference, 34-37-11, 79 points. Colorado with possibly the worst season in the salary cap era, 22-56-4, 48 points. This is a team with McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, Eric Johnson, Varlamov in net. There were good pieces on this roster, and it fell apart. Nothing worked out. Tyson Barrie was on that team. It's honestly incredible how a team with such good players at the time could not do anything. In the Pacific Division, Anaheim wins it again, 46-23-13, 105 points. And Edmonton back in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years, 47-26-9, 103 points. San Jose, 46-29-7, 99 points. Calgary's also back in at 45-33-4, 94 points. LA back out of the playoffs at 39-35-8, 86 points. Arizona at 30-42-10, 70 points. Vancouver bottoms out at 30-43-9, 69 points as well. In the East, Montreal is leading the Atlantic Division, 47-26-9, 103 points. Ottawa 44-28-10, 98 points. Boston 44-31-7, 95 points. Toronto 40-27-15 at 95 points as well. On the outside, Tampa Bay went through the injury plague that season, and they fought ferociously to get back into the playoffs. They were 1 point off, 42-30-10 at 94 points. Florida, after winning the division, just falls completely into nothing again, 35-36-11, 81 points. Detroit finally, after 22 years, falls out of the playoffs, 33-36-13 at 79 points. Buffalo, 33-37-12, 78 points. Nothing's getting better in Buffalo. In the Metro, Washington wins the President's Trophy for the second year in a row, 55-19-8, 118 points. Pittsburgh follows right behind them, the defending champions, at 50-21-11, 111 points. Columbus, with the best season of their entire history, back in the playoffs at 50-24-8, 108 points. So that's more than anyone in the Atlantic Division right there. The Rangers, 48-28-6, get that wild card spot at 102 points. Outside the playoffs, you have the New York Islanders, 41-29-12, who fall out of the playoffs at 94 points. Flyers finish out of the playoffs because it's an odd year, 39-33-10, 88 points. Carolina, 36-31-15, 87 points. New Jersey, 28-40-14, 70 points. I forgot one team on here. Something's not right here because I realized I forgot about it. Montreal was not in the playoffs last year either, and I feel like I'm missing one as well. There's 5 out of the playoffs that were in it last year, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Was Ottawa in the playoffs in 2016? Washington was, Pittsburgh was, the Rangers were. One, two, three, four. It's got to be Ottawa, right? Because 3 teams are out here, 2 teams are out here. I think it's Ottawa. Because who made it was in 2016. It was Tampa Bay. It was Florida. It was Detroit, and it was. Well, there were 5 teams in this division: Washington, Pittsburgh, Rangers, Islanders, Flyers. Okay, yeah, we're good now. Okay, I was doing a double take in my head there. So the Atlantic Division just completely reverses. Aside from Buffalo, they don't get any change whatsoever. In the playoffs, Central Division first round, Chicago plays Nashville. The Central Division C1 plays Wild Card 2. Nashville sweeps Chicago in 4. The Hawks score 3 goals all series, and I am left shocked while in Nashville overnight on the night of Game 4. I wasn't at the game. We were on a road trip, and we stopped in Nashville for the night of Game 4. Oh boy, did I want to get out of there in the morning. C2, C3, Minnesota, St. Louis. Minnesota finally has some higher seed. They're finally a home team, and St. Louis beats them in 5 and gets revenge for 2015. P1 Anaheim plays Wildcard 1 Calgary, and just like the 2015 second round, Anaheim quickly dismantles them in 4 games. P2 Edmonton surprises P3 San Jose in 6 games. Although Edmonton was the higher seed, San Jose had just gone to the final. Looked like they were, okay, this is going to be their year. Nope, they're out in 6. In the East, A1 Montreal is out in 6 by the Wildcard 1 New York Rangers, so showing that the Rangers are still dangerous, and they only finished 1 point behind them in the standings and also had more wins. A2 Ottawa beats A3 Boston, who's back in the playoffs. Both of those are back in the playoffs, and they win in 6 games there. M1 Washington survives a first-round scare against Wildcard 2 Toronto. Toronto's first year of the Matthews era, they're back in the playoffs. You got Matthews, Marner, Nylander as your young core, Riley in there as well. Things are looking very much up for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They go up 2-1 on Washington. They get that Game 3 win in overtime. And I think 5 of those games went to overtime, but Washington does end up winning it in 6. Good learning experience for Toronto. No one expected them to be even in the playoffs. Hopefully that won't cause any... hopefully no one in the future, they won't just never get past that hump right there. But no, anyway... M2 Pittsburgh beats M3 Columbus because Columbus cannot have nice things in 5 games. Second round, Wildcard 2 Nashville beats C3 St. Louis in 6 games. And P1 Anaheim beats P2 Edmonton very controversially in 7 games. I'm going to be honest, watching that series, Edmonton should have probably won it. Some calls went Anaheim's way. Although Edmonton did blow a 3-0 lead in Game 5. Overall, very controversial series. Edmonton kind of gets screwed over in this one. In the East, the Wildcard 1 New York Rangers are out in 6 against the A2 Ottawa Senators as Ottawa goes to the conference final. M1 Washington, of course, loses to M2 Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh beats Washington, and that is how it works. In the conference final, Wildcard 2 Nashville gives justice to P1 Anaheim, and guess what? It's Nashville and Anaheim. Anaheim is not good against Nashville. Nashville wins that series in 6 games. In the East, Ottawa comes so close, and I was so rooting for Ottawa. A2 Ottawa and M2 Pittsburgh. It's a double overtime Game 7 winner for Chris Kunitz, and Pittsburgh goes on to the Stanley Cup final for the 2nd year in a row. Ottawa does not win another playoff game or make the playoffs again after this, as a matter of fact. So, Wildcard 2 Nashville versus M2 Pittsburgh. Game 1, Pittsburgh wins 5-3 at home and then win 4-1 at home. Of course, this is Pekka Rinne is too good right now. And, he shows how good he is in games 3 and 4. They win 5-1 and 4-1 at home, so home ice is a big deal in the series. All 4 games have been won by the home team. And then Pittsburgh comes home and wins 6-0 against Nashville. And that was the game where I said, this series is over. Pittsburgh's winning back-to-back. I had no doubt Pittsburgh was winning Game 6. Matt Murray shuts the door as they win 2-0. And they outscore Nashville 8-0 in the final 2 games of that series, I should say. Malkin leads the playoffs in points, 25 games, 10 goals, 18 assists, 28 points. Crosby only plays 24 games, but has 8 goals, 19 assists, and 27 points. He is your Conn Smythe winners back-to-back years. Murray and Fleury actually split the net. So Matt Murray goes 7-3 with a 170 goals against average and a 937 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Fleury goes 9-6 with a 2.56 goals against average and a 924 save percentage with 2 shutouts. A combined 5 shutouts between the 2 teams in that playoff run. In terms of award winners, we have a lot of variety this year. It's usually the same guys every time. We have some variety here. Art Ross, it's the first of many for Connor McDavid with 30 goals, 70 assists, 100 points of the Edmonton Oilers. The Masterton goes to Craig Anderson, who's stepped away from the game temporarily because his wife was battling cancer. His wife told him to go back. He did, and he went on a historic run as he did here. If it ended with the Stanley Cup for Craig Anderson, my hometown hero, is from my hometown, and that would have been bittersweet, to say the least. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. The Calder goes to Austin Matthews, of who else but the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Conn Smythe goes to Sidney Crosby of the, let me just pull this up real quick because I'm going to need it, of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Selke goes to the Patrice Bergeron, because that's what it does, of the Boston Bruins. The Hart goes to Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. The Adams goes to John Tortorella for getting Columbus 50 wins of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Norris goes to Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks. The Clancy goes to Nick Foligno of the current Chicago Blackhawks. The Lady Byng goes to Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames. The Lindsay goes to Connor McDavid to the Edmonton Oilers. The Messier to Nick Foligno as well of the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Rocket goes to Sidney Crosby instead of Alex Ovechkin. 44 goals that year was all he needed. The Vezina goes to Sergei Bobrovsky. 41 wins, 17 losses, 5 overtime losses, 2.06 goals against average, and a .931 save percentage, along with 7 shutouts. The Jennings goes to Braden Holtby of the Washington Capitals. And overall, different award winners. It's different. It's good to see some variety in the awards. We don't see that very much, and from what we've been covering these past decade, to say the least. In terms of we didn't even go through All-Stars yet. First team All-Stars: left wing Marchand, center McDavid, right wing Kane. On defense, Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson. Goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky. Second team goes to Artemi Panarin, Sidney Crosby, and Nikita Kucherov. Defense goes to Duncan Keith and Victor Hedman. Goaltending, Braden Holtby. The rookie team is Patrick Laine, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Brady Shea, best hair in hockey, Zach Werenski, and Matt Murray. Right there, that's a rookie team that we all thought was going to dominate, to say the least. Murray, I mean, he's had his injury struggles, but it's funny that Murray was on the rookie team even though he had already won a cup ring. Now he'd won 2. Laine, of course, what he's going through right now, hopefully that is resolved soon. Matthews is everything and advertised and more. Marner gets too much hate, in my opinion. Brady Shea, his hair alone gets him enough, and of course he signs the huge deal in Nashville. Werenski, a good defenseman with injury problems, and Murray, goaltender with injury problems. In terms of free agency, I am pulling up something right now that's for later. Okay, there we go. Lucic goes to Edmonton. Remember, this is the 2016 free agency, one of the worst free agency days, free agencies of the entire NHL's history. So many contracts that people look back on and say, what have we done here? Lucic to Edmonton, Reimer to Florida, Ladd to the Islanders, that's another one. Lucic and Ladd, those were 2 of the bad ones. Dale Weiss to Philadelphia. Perron goes back to St. Louis for the 3rd time. Franz Nielsen to Detroit, there's another bad one. Backus to Boston. Louis Eriksson to Vancouver, yep. Jonathan Marchessault to Florida. Anton Khudobin to Boston. Brian Campbell to Chicago. Troy Brouwer to Calgary, yep. Kyle Oposo to Buffalo, yep. Eric Staal to Minnesota. Carter Hutton to St. Louis. Chris Stewart to Minnesota. Lovejoy to New Jersey, Chimera to the Islanders, McGinn to Arizona, Stalock to Minnesota, Clendenning to the Rangers, Schlemko to San Jose. Sam Carrick was actually signed with Chicago. I never even knew he was a part of the organization. Victor Stahlberg to Carolina, Chad Ruhwedel to Pittsburgh, Al Montoya to play backup to Carey Price in Montreal, Yannick Weber to Nashville, because there always must be a Weber in Nashville apparently, Sean Mathias to Winnipeg, Antoine Vermette to Anaheim, Fedor Tutin to Colorado, Jeremy Morin to Tampa Bay. Although he wasn't playing in the NHL, he was still being shifted from team to team. Matt Martin to Toronto, Thomas Vanek to Detroit, Steve Ott to Detroit, Teddy Purcell to LA, Mikhail Bodker to San Jose, Riley Nash to Boston, Jason Demers to Florida, Roman Polak to Toronto, P.A. Parito to the Islanders, Tennyson to Carolina, Mason Raymond to Anaheim, Jordan Tutu to Chicago, Jared Bowl to Anaheim, Chris Kelly goes back to Ottawa after about a decade. Jeff Schultz to Anaheim, Luke Shen to Arizona, Matt Carl to Tampa Bay, Sam Gagner goes to Columbus, Chris Russell to Edmonton, Rene Bourque to Colorado, Kyle Quincy to New Jersey, Michael Layden to Carolina, that's a name you probably haven't heard in 6-year videos, Dominic Moore to Boston, Ben Smith to Colorado, Verbata to Arizona, VC goes to the Rangers, Seidenberg to the Islanders, Enroth to Toronto, Hudler to Dallas, Peary to the Rangers, and Matt Benning, the nephew of Jim Benning, goes to the Edmonton Oilers. Trades. One of these days is very iconic. June 29, 2016. We'll get down to there. I forgot to mention these. Chris Versteeg to Calgary, Jack Skilly to Vancouver, and Laurie Koprikoski to Dallas. Trades. June 24, 2016. Lars Eller goes to Washington for 2 seconds. June 24, 2016. Andrew Shaw goes to Montreal for 2 seconds. To going back to Chicago. So Montreal gets 2 seconds, and then they spend those 2 seconds on Andrew Shaw. June 24, 2016, Brian Elliott goes to Calgary for a second and a conditional third to St. Louis. June 24, 2016, Pavel Datsuk's contract and a first go to Arizona for Joe Vitale, a first and a second going to Detroit. June 25, 2016, Kulikov and a second go to Buffalo for Mark Pysyk, a second and a third. June 29, 2016, these are the two big deals. Taylor Hall goes to New Jersey for Adam Larson, 1-for-1. Adam Larson goes to Edmonton, Hall goes to New Jersey. What a move. For Edmonton to make that move, was Adam Larson worth Taylor Hall? No. Taylor Hall, I feel like, could have got Larson and more, to say the least. That trade being 1-for-1 is, you would think, would be a steal by New Jersey, and it is for a year. And then Taylor Hall kind of just, he wins the heart, and then leaves because New Jersey is in hell. The Devils. June 29, 2016, Shea Weber is traded to Montreal for PK Subban. Another trade that shocked the world, but one that made a lot more sense since PK Subban did not fit the Montreal vibe, apparently, and fit Nashville better, I guess, and Weber was just the consolation. Weber was older. Both went to one final with their team and lost, so now that we look back on the trade, it was pretty even. But at the time, it was like, whoa, what the heck is Montreal doing? July 8th, 2016, Jonathan Bernier goes to Anaheim for a conditional second or a third going to Toronto. July 18th, 2016, Ottawa drinks some stupid juice and get Derek Brassard in a seventh for Mika Zibanejad in a second going to the Islanders. Brassard was a good player at the time, but not only do the Rangers get the better player, they also get the better pick in this trade, making it an absolute steal for the Rangers. August 25th, 2016, Dave Boland's contract goes to Arizona along with Lawson Krause for a conditional second and a conditional third going to Florida. October 7th, 2016, the Nail Yakupov saga in Edmonton ends with him going to St. Louis for Pochero and a conditional second or third going to Edmonton. February 23rd, 2017, Ron Hainsey goes to Pittsburgh for Cristo and a second going to Carolina. Ron Hainsey at this point had never been to the playoffs, and he had the longest career without playoffs until Jeff Skinner, I believe, broke it this year. February 24th, 2017, Patrick Eaves goes to Anaheim for a conditional second going to Dallas. February 24th, 2017, Thomas Yurko goes to Chicago for a third going to Detroit. Why we spent a third on Thomas Yurko, I don't know. February 25th, 2017, Jeremy Morin goes to Arizona for Fournier going to Tampa Bay. February 26th, 2017, Ben Bishop along with a fifth goes to LA for Peter Budaj, Eric Cernak, still there in Tampa, a conditional second and seventh to the Tampa Bay Lightning. February 27th, 2017, Brian Boyle goes to Toronto for Froze and a conditional second to Tampa Bay. February 27th, 2017, Jordy Ben goes to Montreal for Greg Pateryn and a fourth going to Dallas. Pateryn was fantastic in franchise mode in a couple good few games ago, I will say. February 27th, 2017, Alex Burrows goes to Ottawa for Dahlin. Jonathan Dahlin, not a iconic Rasmus Dahlin. But Alex Burrows, known mostly in Ottawa for kneeing Taylor Head's head into the ice multiple times because that's the ass he is. Excuse my French. February 27, 2017, St. Louis makes this trade while they're in the playoffs, mind you. Kevin Shattenkirk, Phoenix Copley go to Washington for Zach Sanford, Brad Malone, a first, a conditional second, and a seventh going to St. Louis. Good asset management by St. Louis because they get picks out of it and they continue to retool on the fly, to say the least. They're kind of acknowledging that he's not good part of a piece that's going to win them a cup, so why not get some assets in return with a team that desperately wants to get over that hump with Washington. February 28, 2017, Brendan Smith goes to the Rangers for a second and a third going to Detroit. February 28, 2017, Stallberg goes to Ottawa for a third to Carolina. February 28th, 2017, Johnny Oduya comes back to Chicago for Mark McNeil, who is a first-round bust, and a conditional fourth. February 28th, 2017, David Desharnais goes to Edmonton for Brandon Davidson going to Montreal. I only mentioned Desharnais because he scored a big goal for the Oilers in that series against San Jose in the first round. Other trades, San Jose gets Yannick Hansen on March 1st, 2017 from Vancouver for Nikolai Goldobin and a conditional fourth. Montreal gets Steve Ott for a 6th-round pick from Detroit. Anything here? Nope. Dwight King goes to Montreal for a conditional fourth. Remember Dwight King? He goes to Montreal for a conditional fourth to the LA Kings. Thomas Vanek goes to Florida for Dylan McIlrath and a conditional third. McIlrath, that's a name that's been thrown around. March 1st, 2017, LA gets to finish Jerome McGinley's career for a conditional fourth going to Colorado. March 1st, Columbus gets Cal Quincy. New Jersey gets Dalton Prout. March 1st, Colorado gets Sven Andrighetto. Montreal gets Andreas Martinson. March 1st, 2017, the Flyers get Valtteri Filppula and a fourth and a conditional seventh for Tampa getting Mark Streit. March 1st as well, Nashville gets P.A. Parito for a 6th-round pick going to New Jersey. This is just an odd one. March 1st, 2017, Curtis Lazar and Michael Koska go to Calgary, while Jyrki Paka and a second go to Ottawa. March 1st, Toronto gets Eric Fehr, Stephen Oleski, and a fourth for Frank Corrado going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh then gets Mark Streit and for a 4th-round pick that Tampa immediately flips. So Tampa gets Mark Streit. They dump off salary, Filppula's salary for a few picks. They pick up Streit. Streit they then turn into a 4th-round pick, so really no assets are lost for them. There's some salary off the books. March 1st, 2017, Boston gets Drew Stafford from the Winnipeg Jets for a conditional 6th. Columbus gets Lauri Korpikoski for Dylan Hetherington going to Dallas on March 1st as well. These are all March 1st, so that's the deadline. I didn't even know this trade was ever made. Anaheim gets Spencer Abbott and Sam Carrick. Going to Chicago is Kenton Helgessy and a 7th-round pick. And then trades that don't carry over until the next year. Carolina gets Scott Darling for a 3rd-round pick going to Chicago on April 28, 2017. For what happened to Darling, that's a good trade by the Hawks. May 9th, 2017, Dallas gets Ben Bishop for Montreal's 4th-round pick. Those would be his rights. June 15, 2017, Montreal gets Jonathan Drouin in a 6th. Conditional 6th. Tampa gets Mikhail Sergachev, a conditional 2nd. And, wow. That's another trade that Tampa wins going away. Drouin does not rekindle anything in Montreal. It's until he leaves in free agency to go to Colorado that he actually gets somewhere. Sergachev, of course, is just traded to Utah for what reason I really don't know. I honestly would have moved Hedman before Sergachev. June 16th, Nick Cousins and Merrick Madsen go to Arizona while Philadelphia gets Brendan Warren in a 5th. Buffalo gets Nathan Ballou and for a 3rd-round pick going to Montreal. Calgary gets Mike Smith on June 17th for Chad Johnson, Brandon Hickey, and a conditional 2nd or 3rd. And then the thing after this was that Vegas came into the league. This is the last year we'll have 30 teams on the board. Vegas will come in, and there'll be 31 teams for the next few years, so that includes the expansion draft. So we'll talk about the expansion draft and the Vegas moves in the next video, because I think that's a lot more important in the next video, and it doesn't really matter at this point. So yeah, that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. Happy to get a video out for you on a Friday. Happy to speed this process up because we're in the middle of August now, and I have about 7 years left to do this. So 7 years over the next 15 days. That's about a video every 2 days. We'll see if we can get that done. I start school in 10 days, so we'll see how that goes. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. The 2016-17 NHL season, the last one where I was truly happy as a Chicago Blackhawks fan. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, everyone, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.